This is The Scoop for Tuesday.
I'm Josh Holton with the WMNF News headlines. The Florida Supreme Court has issued 2 abortion-related decisions. One paves the way for a 6-week ban. The other gives voters a chance to explicitly protect abortion through a constitutional amendment. Regan McCarthy has more.
Florida's Supreme Court justices ruled a privacy amendment in the state's constitution does not protect access to abortion. That decision triggers a 6-week ban expected to take effect in 30 days. Abortion access advocate Lauren Brinzel says the decision creates a public health emergency in the Southeast.
There is nowhere in our southern region to intake Florida's patients. Women will be forced to travel thousands of miles away from their support systems and their own providers.
Florida's Republican House Speaker Paul Renner spoke to journalists immediately following the rulings. He calls the amendment extreme and says Florida's Republicans will fight it. For WFSU News, I'm Regan McCarthy.
Florida Supreme Court will also allow the state's voters in November to decide whether to legalize recreational use of marijuana. The rulings yesterday reject Attorney General Ashley Moody's arguments that both of the proposed questions should have been rejected. The second measure would allow people over 21 to use marijuana. Florida voters previously approved the use of medical marijuana. The proposed amendments will each require support from 60% of voters to pass. A federal judge has ruled that lawyers representing migrants flown to Martha's Vineyard nearly 2 years ago by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis can sue the charter flight company that flew them to the island off the Massachusetts coast. Now migrants can proceed with their suit against Florida-based Vertol Systems Co. However, the U.S. District Court of Massachusetts did say in its ruling that it does not have jurisdiction over DeSantis in this case. Ivan Espinoza Madrigal, executive director of the Lawyers for Civil Rights, called the ruling a major victory. He said that now private companies can be held accountable for helping rogue state actors violate the rights of vulnerable immigrants through illegal and fraudulent schemes. The Tampa Bay area has received a $1 million grant from the EPA to come up with a climate action plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Carrie Lynn Kwiatkowski reports the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council will lead the 4-year project known as Clean Air Tampa Bay.
Clean energy plays a central role in Clean Air Tampa Bay. EPA Deputy Administrator Janet McCabe emphasizes the importance of transitioning to clean energy sources to reduce air pollution, which would not only benefit the environment but also improve public health, especially for low-income communities.
So we know that low-income communities are especially vulnerable to the impacts of increasing climate change impacts. So more severe storms, coastal erosion, heavy rains, winds, and those sorts of things. Their housing is not as resilient. They are not as resilient. Their insurance supports are not as robust as people with more means. So anything we can do to put a lid on or stop or slow down the increasing impacts of climate change is going to help vulnerable communities.
The grant will support initiatives like clean energy projects promoting eco-friendly transportation and raising awareness for environmental conservation. For WMNF News, I'm Carrie Lynn Kwiatkowski.
A federal trial is underway for a case that alleges Florida's voter registration law infringes on political speech and civic engagement. The law was passed in 2023, and it bans non-U.S. citizens from working or volunteering for third-party voter registration organizations. Robert Cruz is an attorney with Latino Justice Pearl Deaf, one of 3 organizations suing over the law.
Our clients have dedicated years registering U.S. citizens in the communities to vote and encourage them to exercise their right to vote. While these strategies to repress and intimidate voters may be new, we will continue to fight and defend these rights of our community.
The state says the law is about showing up election security. The trial is expected to last about 2 weeks. Part of it has been blocked from taking effect. It will be warm and cloudy today in the Tampa Bay area. Highs today in the upper 80s, overnight lows in the lower 70s. Tomorrow will cool down with potential for severe thunderstorms. I'm Josh Holton with the WMNF News headlines.
This is The Scoop, recorded at WMNF Tampa.